Meredith Broadbent. She's the chair of the International Trade Commission. Again, we've been around, I guess, the International Trade Trough. What's called a trough? I'm from the country, so I have lots of country-type balloons. But we've been feeding on the same trough for about 20 years or more. Before she was at the ITC, she was, she's the chair until June of this year. So she'll serve as the chair until June of this year, and then her term of appointment ends in June of next year. And I'm sure she'll talk about what all they're doing and what she's doing during her time. Before that, she was the William S. Scholl Chair of International Business at the CSIS. Before that, she was the assistant USTR for Industry Market Access and Telecommunications at the U.S. Trade Rep's office. So she was very involved in the negotiation of some critical free trade agreements. Prior to that, she was at the Global Business Dialogue, and before that, she was on the Hill. So she's had a great career spanning just about, again, almost every agency, looking at what trade is, how trade is developed, implementing it, as well as monitoring, analyzing it, and now sitting as the chair of the ITC. So I'm really looking forward, and I hope you are too, to hearing her remarks about what they're doing at the ITC and how it functions. Meredith?
Hey, thanks, Nicole. It's great to be here and to see, it seems to be a wide variety of expertise in the audience, because I see a lot of very senior, knowledgeable people, and then other folks that may not have been involved in trade as long. And so I'm going to try to gear my comments to you all that are here for this intensive trade seminar to learn a bit about trade. Nicole and I both lived through sort of the lean years of trade, which is probably the last, recently, until about 2 years ago. Trade was very lean and quiet, and not much going on in the Hill. Trade Promotion Authority had expired. And so now I think it's a great time to be looking at these issues, and you all are kind of motivated to come here and get up to speed on the overall trade picture in Washington, and I really applaud you for taking the effort because I know it takes a lot to get away from your office for a day, and everybody needs you there too, but it's an important amount of time to spend and to focus on these issues. Looks like that Ken's put together a great agenda, and I think it looks to me the group that's here. I mean, it's interesting that there are a lot of commercial attachés from the embassy as well as staff folks from the agencies, and I think that's important, and it's important for our agency because we like to be in communication with all of the different groups in Washington that do trade. My comments here, I guess, would be the normal disclaimer. I had to say that I don't speak for any of my colleagues. I'm the chairman of the U.S. International Trade Commission, and our chairmanship rotates back and forth between a Democrat and a Republican. So on June 17th, the president will appoint a Democrat to lead our agency for the next 2 years, and then a Republican to be vice chairman. So we are bipartisan, and we actually work very well together, unlike there are a lot of other commissions in town, I think, that have more problems getting to make their decisions, and I'm proud at this point of how we're functioning and getting our work done. And we're very busy right now. Our trade cases are at a high level, and so it's just an interesting time to be focusing on the International Trade Commission. I wanted just to give you an overview of kind of what we do, and then if I have some time, some of the current issues that we're working on right now. As I mentioned, the commissioners, 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. They're confirmed by the Senate for 9-year terms, and rotating the leadership among the political parties. We are actually, our agency is going to have our 100-year anniversary on September 8th, and so we were signed into law, our authorizing statute in 1916. President Wilson signed the bill in the 1916 Revenue Act, and my sense is there's some connections there with the income tax and some trade-offs on revenue that were in that statute, and we're going to be looking into that history and trying to get an appreciation of how we were founded and put put some perspective on what we're doing today. I guess our watchword is independence. We try to be objective, just the facts. We try to develop as much research and analysis as we can that will arm our trade policymakers in town with the information that they need to make sound decisions. Our primary clients are Congress, primarily the House Ways and Means Committee and the Senate Finance Committee, and then the President, and USTR acts in the President's stead on most occasions. So those are our primary customers, and we also try to serve Congress to the extent we can when they have informational needs about issues relating to trade. We've got several different functions, and you can sort of think of us as an economic think tank and then an investigating organization. We provide a quasi-judicial forum for trade remedy proceedings. We act as judges in cases where petitions are filed by private parties that are experiencing import competition. And we look at the volume and the pricing of those imports and trying to ascertain if they're having a material effect on the domestic industry. We also do investigate intellectual property cases under what we call Section 337, so that's patent and trademark violations. And then, as I mentioned, we do also conduct these economic studies research under Section 332 of our statute. We have a very kind of talented, diverse staff. We have 40 PhD international trade economists, 60 lawyers, and then a large staff of industry experts, which is able to inform our writing and analysis, particularly about the impact of trade agreements. And finally, we maintain the harmonized system, the tariff system. So, as you know, that's a very detailed and laborious process, but it's an important one to keep the trade system working for the United States. I think as I mentioned, I see things getting much busier in the trade area. The U.S., the economy is growing. I think in general trade is getting much more complicated. We've got the multilateral system, but it's growing in complexity because it's being augmented, as you know, by a lot of regional trade agreements and some sectoral initiatives. So it is a growth area, I think, in terms of professionals moving into this world. Currently, right now, for example, the U.S. is looking at the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the European TTIP, and then they also have an ambitious agenda on trade and services, environmental goods in the WTO, and then looking to implement the Information Technology Agreement. So we have our hands full in trying to cover all of these areas that are active. But I think we can all be assured that the pace of technological change and communication, transportation, trade finance will continue to grow and be complicated and challenging. The ITC, for example, has done a lot of work on global supply chains. This is sort of another aspect of the complexity of trade. And some good descriptions on the trade deficit, kind of digging down to see how much U.S. value added is actually incorporated into imports coming back into the United States. So you kind of get a better perspective on what's going on with the trade deficit.